Good morning, everyone. Today's pajama day, and so here I am getting ready to read our book in my pajamas. One thing I want you to think about today when you are listening to this story is I want you to think about making connections between what you hear going on in the book and something that you can think about that's going on in your own life. So that's a text to self connection. You can also make connections to other books or other things that you have read that this book reminds you of. That's a text to text connection. And then if this book reminds you of something like from a movie or a TV show or a video game or the news or something that you've heard about before, then that is a text to world connection. So after we read, you're actually going to see on the worksheet that I've posted the 3 different kinds of connections, and it's going to ask you to make some connections. I want you to be able to tell me whether it's a text to self or a text to text connection or a text to world connection. So I hope you enjoy the story, and I hope you're nice and comfy in your PJs. The Insomniacs. The Insomniacs were not always a night family. But when Mrs. Insomniac found a new job, Mother, Father, and little Micah traveled 12 time zones to their new home. My goodness, traveled a long way. When they arrived, they found that they only stayed awake in the nighttime. And at sun up, they yawned and stretched. They were ready for another 8-hour rest. This does remind me of one time when I traveled to a place that was very far away from Houston, and I was tired during the day. Interesting. Mother dragged herself to work and nodded off at her desk. Father took pictures at his studio, then he took 40 winks. That means he took a nap. Micah listened to her lessons, but sleepwalked through the science lab. The headmistress sent her home with a note. I suspect mere Micah has sleeping sickness. Please see a specialist right away. This will not do, said little Micah. I have to sleep at night. That evening, the Insomniacs took hot baths, filled out the crossword, pulled down the shades, and pulled up the covers. Micah counted to 1,000. Father sipped 6 mugs of hot milk. Mother tried a meditation, as suggested for her star sign in the evening paper. Look at them doing all those things. You can see Micah counting, and Papa's drinking hot milk, and Mom's doing some yoga meditation. But by 3 o'clock in the morning, they found themselves awake again. Nothing helps, little Micah cried. It's tiresome waking up all night long. Let's have a family huddle, said Mother, and they puzzled over their shut-eye trouble. Who rests the longest and the best, said Mrs. Insomniac. I wonder if our neighbors have better luck with bedtime. We don't have any neighbors, said Micah meekly. Not true, said Father. He pointed to the darkness beyond their window pane. Lynx take cat naps. Reindeer stand up. And walrus drowse with one eye open, added Mother. But bears bed down all winter long, said Micah. We'll find the bears and we'll ask them for their slumber secrets. This reminds me of a time when we were talking about winter and hibernation. So, in search of bears, the Insomniacs trekked beyond the house, through the pines, into the cliffs, and found a cave. But there weren't any bears there. Instead, they saw a horde of mice hanging upside down. I wonder if you can make a connection here. The cloud of animals roused and rushed into the night. They weren't mice at all. They dipped and dived and surfed the air. They squealed with delight. Then the Insomniacs noticed the darkness was full of life. "Oh, why don't we give night a try?" said little Micah. The Insomniacs decided to live during the dark hours. Here you can see a lot of pictures of animals who are awake at night. This reminds me of something I know about. What's that word for animals that are awake during the day and, asleep during the day and awake at night? It starts with an N. At dusk, they woke and ate a breakfast of nightshade vegetables. They dressed in midnight blue. When the moon rose, Mother tended a moonlight cactus, and Father watched the evening news. It's funny, these are all things people do in the morning, but they're doing them at night. Micah wrangled her nighttime pets, an aardvark, an angel shark, a bandicoot, and a small-eared Zorro frisked in Micah's room. A fennec fox lived under her bed, and she fed him night beetles. The planets wheeled around the sky while the Insomniacs toiled in the gloom. Father developed his photos in a dark room. Mother studied stars through her telescope, and Micah attended night school remotely. Remotely attending school is kind of what we are doing right now. That's a connection. And after work, they moonbathed and watched the little fishies nipping at the surface of the sea. They went to the flower market and to the bakery where the dough rose with the sun. They returned home on quiet streets. They put away their groceries and their flowers, and at dawn, right when the sun was coming up, they went to sleep. They adored their new life. Every now and then, the sunlight crept through the blinds and climbed the walls and reminded those Insomniacs of daytime. They opened the door and looked at the sun's glare that bleached the world out there. The dazzle made them blink and sigh and rub their eyes. "I much prefer the night," said Micah. The Insomniacs didn't need the sun. They had stars and fireflies and northern lights. "We are a nighttime family," they all agreed. They shuttered out the morning sky and bundled into bed. The end. Now, I see someone else who is actually sleeping during the day right now. It's Ruby.